Okay, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporters Investors Discovery Day live stream, July 22nd. We are back with one of our longtime favorites, Relay Medical. They're back with some incredible news, and we're also going to meet the CEO today. So again, for anybody that's new to our program, our goal is to bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. So these are companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities. They're at a key inflection point right now in their growth, and most importantly, there's multiple catalysts in place to ignite that shareholder value and growth. So with that said, let's meet the team of Relay, and we should do is I think we're gonna have to get an introduction to Yoav in just a second. But Clark, it's been a while since you were on, so I think for anybody that's new and people maybe to refresh people's memory, what medical do you're doing some very exciting things in the AI space, medtech. Give us the whole picture, and maybe Yoav, if you want to jump in at the same time.
Absolutely, happy to do so, and thanks. Good to see you again, Jack. What we do at Relay Medical is we have an expertise in AI and in working with devices, Internet of Things devices, specifically, or we could say with a focus in the past on medical or health tech. What we've done over the last 12 months is we applied our AI in early 2020 to develop a platform for high volume COVID testing. That's now partnered with the largest lab company in the country in Canada. And what we've done most recently is in March, we acquired a cybersecurity company that is cybersecurity for IoT devices, mature,
This is Cybeats we're talking about, right?
This is Cybeats, yes.
Okay.
And so we have some updates there, but from a general perspective, what we do is, in the startup business, you have to build an infrastructure of people that are experts in their field. And what we've done is we've gotten very good at AI and machine learning and developing platforms. And now what we do is we apply those platforms to different verticals in the market, whether or not it be the testing space, it be the cybersecurity space. In another month or so, we'll announce that we've made some significant headway on our pharmaceutical adherence technology, which is using our AI to monitor the use of prescription drugs. And so really, we're a platform company that applies our core knowledge base to very high value targets that we can give a little love and bring into the market, and then exit either by way of spin out or selling the company to a bigger player in the field, or listing the company public on its own.
Okay, so that's actually interesting, because that kind of creates a catalyst for value long term. I want to kind of revisit that in a second, but let's first jump into Yoav. Yoav, I should have introduced you first because we haven't met you yet. So Yoav, welcome. So I think we should start by maybe introduce yourself, tell our audience a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Relay.
Yeah, I'll go try to do my background really fast. Basically, lots of experience in electronics and software back in the days in Israel, working on a few very interesting startups. Had kind of like engagement at different industries, mainly on the software. At some point in life, I was more attracted to medical devices, to actually create things. I created very interesting medical devices in few companies, and eventually found my way here, combining all the electronics, software, and a lot of attraction to cybersecurity from early days, that I always like touching that. And this is how we actually found Cybeats, the mature technology. Already 3 years in the market, and that was immediately a connection, because I just saw what everyone can see it, which is the huge threats that we have all around us. And that's actually helped us to make the decision to invest and acquire Cybeats.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Cybeats, because I think we mentioned it a little bit last time, Clark, you were on, but maybe Yoav, you want to explain what want to divide this?
Yeah, let's just imagine a car driving now in the street. There's lots of electronics we know that is there, but we never see the software. The software is actually connected. If we talk about cars like Tesla or even Toyotas, the new ones, and other brands, they're all connected. And things that are connected are hackable. Everything is hackable. And the problem is just increasing. And we just heard last 2 days from Biden kind of accusing China in penetrating the US on all kind of fronts. So all of these devices are actually penetrated. As part of Cybits, we have like a research department that shows us exactly what's happening in various places. And based on that, what the technology is, there is a little agent, very small footprint agent that actually sits inside the device, inside the car in few components, or inside a security camera, let's say, in one of the manufacturing plants somewhere. And that's actually, instead of looking at all the threats in the world, it's actually looking inside of the device, making sure that the device operates as it's supposed to be, that no one else is trying to get into the device to breach the security. And once it breaches the security, it's very easy for us to detect it. Immediately, we raise a flag. So actually, we're detecting all the known vulnerability that exists today in the world, but also the new ones. We're like the first or the closest to the hacking event that actually happened. And while we raise that flag, this really helps us to understand what's going on and neutralize that. However, it all started a little bit earlier. Actually, we know the software that the device is running is actually built from many components, and some of the components you actually buy from different vendors. Like there's a software company that might do the scheduling, software company that might do the UI, and all you don't know exactly what component they're using. So actually, we create a list of all the software components, and based on that, we can compare and see if they were hacked before or if they're vulnerable. And then we can recommend the manufacturer to design a product that is secure. So actually, Cybits provide you a huge platform that allows you to design a secure product and then to protect it in the field, but also, and most importantly, to communicate that list of components with governments, with authority, or with your client if you're selling something to the US grid or to the US pipeline. So you want that your clients will know that you created a secure product.
Okay, so before we get into like today, today's deal with starfish and the significance of that. So the bottom line is the markets that you're addressing. So like, what markets does the Cybits address, and how big is the opportunity that you're going after with this?
I can answer and provide actually a little bit of a background that would be, I think, helpful for people to understand just how big this opportunity is and why the companies in the cybersecurity space are so important, getting these enormous evaluations right now. Essentially, what happens is you like Yoav talks. In manufacturing, you have every day we have millions and millions of devices now coming online that are connected devices, and not just the ones that we think are smartphones or are smartwatches or wearable type IoT devices, but security cameras, dishwashers, home appliances, TVs. Everything that's essentially being manufactured new and that's electronic has the ability to connect wirelessly. It's an Internet of Things device. What's happened is that these devices, the actual technology to put the devices on the network has not stayed consistent with the ability to protect them. And so what Cybits does is at the point of design, from the time that a manufacturer starts to even conceptualize a new technology, we are on there as a security platform. From the time that the developers just start designing the product to the time that it leaves the factory and is put out into the public, Cybits is active and analyzing and running diagnostics related to cybersecurity. So I'll back up and tell you something and why this opportunity came to us and why it's such an interesting one. We've known about Cybits for a couple of years because we're in the medical device business. And of course, medical devices, specifically what we do is we're bringing medical devices into the market that are connected to a network and you're running tests or you're monitoring somebody's pharmaceutical adherence, whatever it is. Obviously, security is paramount. What we've seen since then, since us being conscious of the need there, is that in the last 3-4 months, you've had the actual Biden administration come out and announce an executive order that this is now mandated. You have to, if you are manufacturing IoT devices in the United States and you expect them to be used by the government or used by big industry, you have to have cybersecurity at these stages. You have to start doing what is called SBOM, which is basically a digital bill or a software bill of materials, and understanding every little component that is part of your TV or your car or your security camera or whatever is logged and is secure. Interestingly enough, we do this, and what's just happened in the last 3-4 months. You have the biggest Saudi oil company that was just hacked in the last week. You have the Suez Canal that was a $70 billion damage from hacked and from that being hacked. JBS Foods. So there's Tesla, Colonial Pipeline, Microsoft. There's a massive issue here now where infrastructure in our country and in North America and around the world is being hacked. Companies, specific critical infrastructure companies, food, power grids, they're being hacked. And there's now a race by the biggest companies in the world to try and find solutions for this. So just recently, in the last 6 months, Jack, you've seen JFrog just bought Vdoo, $300 million USD. The JFrog is a NASDAQ company, FROG on the NASDAQ. They bought Vdoo, which is a comparable company to Cybeats, $300 million US. They're a $4.5 billion market cap company.
Wait, I just want to back up. So you're saying there's a comp of $300 million valuation, a similar company that was just bought, similar to Cybeats.
Absolutely, that and more. In fact, you look at. Go ahead.
Your focus. So Cybeats, essentially, the focus of Cybeats is on the IoT, the IoT market, Internet. Okay.
Correct.
And so the way you got into it was essentially originally the medical, the testing devices, like the COVID testing stuff you're doing at the Pearson Airport. That's based on it's a wireless platform. Yep. So. And I guess this is how you got into it. Okay, so the markets that Cybeats is going after, though, is Cybeats going to focus just on medical devices, IoT devices, or you're going to go after general IoT devices?
We're going everywhere. So anytime you're manufacturing IoT devices, we're there. So today, the big coming out for us today, we're all very excited, is we announced that we have our first, we'll call it public client that's announced with a company called Starfish, Canada's largest medical design company. So they do medical technology for the biggest companies in the country. They're Canada's largest. Last year, they were actually personally contracted by Justin Trudeau to work with Celestica on building ventilators. This is the biggest player in medical technology development in Canada. We just signed a deal with. This is to put Cybeats on all of their new developments, their new medical devices that they're developing. This is a huge deal for us, our first public client. But we're looking at the auto industry. We're in various levels of we'll call it.
What's the business model? How do you generate revenues? Like, what do you license a product? Like, how do you make money with this?
So there's a SaaS model to this. So within the manufacturing facilities, so let's take Starfish for instance. They've got a few hundred employees. They build medical devices for companies of all sizes. Within there, they will have developers who start to build and conceptualize a device or technology device on behalf of the client. And as they're building that, they install our product. And our product, as you add new components into what you're developing, keeps track of what all those are and what potential cybersecurity risks you may have, advises you on how to fix those. And then when the product goes into the commercial realm, we are then paid on a per device business model once the product goes commercial, and you want to utilize the commercial cybersecurity that is already designed from point of inception on the product. So Yoav can probably give.
So you can make a certain dollar amount per product, basically.
Yeah. So say in the consumer electronic business. So we're talking.
Wait. So Clark. So basically, so you're going to make a percentage or a dollar, whatever, per device. It's almost like a license fee. So it's a company has 1 million. They sell 1 million gizmos at $1, whatever it is. Because a lot of these IoT things are. I mean, it's a mass. There's everything. There's a lot of that are IoT that are I don't know, sell for $10, let's say, right? $100. So in theory, you could be making a couple bucks per device or whatever the number is.
So for consumer electronics, you could be making you could even be making it small. You look at a company that might develop, let's say they develop home doorbell electronics with the cameras in them, or mouses and keyboards and those type of things, connected devices like that. We can have it where it's 10 cents a device. When you get up into high value technologies, like you're talking about cars, you're talking about all the individual components of a car, you're talking about medical devices, diagnostic equipment. It can be a couple bucks per annum. It depends all on the model. The big one is in this market is that the companies, because of the critical aspect now of cybersecurity, you look at a company like Vidu that we just use as an example. They had their last published financials were somewhere around 8 million in revenue in the last year, and they're bought at a $300 million US valuation by a $4.4 billion company. You look at a bunch of the companies that Microsoft has just bought, they're buying them, if not pre-revenue, just barely commercial. They're getting snatched up for 180 million, 500 million. The valuations are crazy. The industry is white hot because there are problems and there's a desperate need for a fix. And this is why you're seeing governments start to mandate, it's not an option for you to have this technology in your car or in your manufacturing facility. It's becoming the standard. And it just so happens that our company, the company that we acquired, has been doing this for a few years. They're not adopting, a new methodology. They predicted this. They were right, and thank goodness we got a deal done, and now we've seen since we acquired it that we're engaged with some of the biggest companies in the world, and we're feeling very good about the potential of Cybeats in the short term here.
Okay, Yoav, what kind of revenues like? Can you talk about maybe the revenue model? Like, it's like a licensing fee? Like, how much can you make? Let's say with Starfish or what's the upside potential for Cybeats?
Yeah, as you know, some of these companies, they prefer to have like the actual data secured on their specific platform. So we actually kind of do it as a platform as a service on a yearly fee for the platform, besides of the fee that we do per device. So that's something that once they work with us, they really see the benefits of having all the solutions on one platform. Because we're not just doing what each one of the individual companies are doing. We have one big platform that provide, from a design perspective, everything is integrated. So there is a very high value of what they get for the platform as service and for the device fee. And then the client can actually control everything that's going from that moment.
So it's very interesting because this kind of licensing where you're part of every part. This is basically how you mentioned Microsoft. This is how their business was built. They licensed their software. There was the operating system, and they got a couple of dollars per PC, and billions of were sold. And they built a whole business out of it. So essentially, it's the same type, because your margins are essentially it's pure profit. What's inside each consumer device, whatever, costs you nothing. I mean, you have development costs to develop the technology, but after that, it's pure profit.
Well, and you look at on that what the results of these hacks have actually had on the businesses, including loss of revenue, significant loss of revenue, significant loss of market share. So cybersecurity is not only something that is something that protects the consumer, but these companies with these now these ransom scenarios and these data breaches that we've seen have disastrous effects. If you look at what happened with Tesla a couple months ago, just through a security camera on their site that was not protected. It allowed a hacker to come in and actually get a look at their manufacturing line. So, you have these very significant issues. You don't have solutions. It's very clear that traditional cybersecurity solutions that we are all familiar with, firewalls and these things, they're not working. They're not enough for what has happened in the world today, with everything moving out of your lab, out of your home, out of your office, and these wireless devices in the field, these IoT devices in the field have issues. And for a business, a couple of years ago, a good example is a casino in Las Vegas had a fish tank that was an IoT connected fish tank, and somebody hacked in and got the high rollers list and took the data from people there. So right down to small things like that, to cars you're driving down the street and somebody can hack in your car and drive you into.
There's a massive demand for the cybersecurity, the IoT security. What I want to do before we get into some audience questions, and again, I mean the highlight is going to be, hopefully we get some good Q&A here. But I want to ask, maybe can you also give us an update? Now, some of the other developments, I think it's important to add that you've had some of your customers. I mean, it adds some really significant validation, like the Starfish deal. Before you had the Pearson Airport, so that's a massive validation for the technology. What's happening with, maybe Clark, if you can maybe give, or Yoav, if you want to jump in, but an update on all the different aspects of your business, because I think it's important for people to understand that RELA is not just it's not a one product company. You have essentially a suite or portfolio of various AI and technologies that you're developing.
Thank you, Jack. I think unfortunately there's been a bit of a pixelation or connection issue, but I believe I got most of your question. So number one, I heard that you referenced Starfish and some of our other clients. We've got, we've partnered with our testing business. We've now partnered with the largest lab company in the country, which is Life Labs. They're working with us across country. With our cybersecurity, we've just announced today our first client, which is the largest medical developer in the country. And our third asset that I referenced earlier is the PharmaTrack, which is something right now that we're just picking up. We had to divert our resources over to support our COVID testing business early last year because we weren't able to advance our pharmaceutical business in the middle of the pandemic.
And the PharmaTrack, just to give people a recap, that was the original business you were developing, right? Just give a quick recap on that and the whole.
That's right. So we were set in early 2020. We were set to start some new biz dev activities, do some studies, and we had to put that on ice due to COVID. But essentially what we've developed and are developing and bringing into the market is a platform that uses various hardware tools. One which is a cluster station. It's basically a smart device that sits in your kitchen and monitors your medications as you take them by camera, and it can use AI to identify if you're taking the correct medication, if you're added new, if you're taking them improperly, and it communicates with carers and gathers that data and predicts the potential for you to miss those miss taking your medication in the future, and blah, 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 blah. It's all about bringing data from the endpoint to improve the user experience of the patient, make it easier for them to take their medication, but give the doctor and the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies the data that they need to support funding certain therapies and different things. So it's something that's near and dear to us. It actually shows very well how our business operates. We took that asset, we adopted certain components of it, and built a testing solution. Now we've actually taken that asset and we're adapting the AI component to what we're doing in cybersecurity. And of course, all of our devices that we're putting out in the field have now what we believe to be the best cybersecurity in the business for IoT devices, and we have it internally. So what you'll be seeing with us over the next little bit is we will continue to bring new assets off of our platform, leverage the AI capabilities, leverage the products and the IP that we have to build businesses in other industries. Right now, we're well capitalized to execute on what we're doing in the cybersecurity business. Quite frankly, the opportunity that we have with Cybeats is one that we can really, with a straight face, talk about billion-dollar valuations of an asset like this. And so we have capital that's required to bring this to the next stage of commercialization.
Yeah, so I think with this internet delay, you got to the good part, and then the internet kind of cut out. So you're saying that essentially, if I got it correctly, is that $1 billion value? That's where the internet cut out. So you got to recap that.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, what I would encourage, Jack, and I would encourage everybody to do is you look right now what's happening in the cybersecurity business. You look at the valuations that these companies are getting, and you see that as soon as they can show that they've engaged with a couple clients that are of some, that are validating clients, your market caps are going off the charts. And billion-dollar valuations are a regular occurrence now for these cybersecurity companies. And I can say very confidently, we intend to put a B on that asset, and we believe that we have. Just recently, since buying obviously the company, we have the biggest, most powerful government in the world, the most advanced government in the world in the U.S. Mandate what we do. You're seeing a massive, flurry of transactions in the space. 300 million, 400 million, 500 million, small companies getting snatched up. We address multiple markets within the cybersecurity space. This asset is mature. This is not something. There's a bunch of companies who are fighting right now to try and get up the curve to be able to provide the solutions that we already have. And this company literally went commercial in the last 30 days. So we feel very good about our potential. We just signed on Chris Blask, who is a major name in the cybersecurity business, a grandfather of Firewall and of Digital Bill of Materials. Chuck Brooks, who joined as an advisor as well. He's a two or three time presidential appointee for Homeland Security. We now have the most respected medical technology development company in Canada who's signed on and say this is the solution that we need. So we are right on the cusp of some very, very exciting things. And the valuations in these markets, I can't say that the other products that we have in the portfolio have given that near-term value potential value multipliers that we're seeing in cybersecurity now, and we intend to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I might add, Jack, that also all the companies that we're seeing that get these enormous valuation, they're actually private. None of them is actually, the public can actually start and get into that only when there are few billions value. This is when public can actually join. And we actually not the foreign technology. We are a North American technology. Everything is in Canada. We have the Israeli background in terms of innovation and stuff like that, as you can hear from my perfect accent. But all of that coming into play, I think we're having something really big here.
Okay, so what's the plan in terms of it looks like you have a couple of different different parts of RELA, the business of RELA. You have the Cybeats business, you have the original stuff. How are you gonna create value? Are you gonna spin point? What's the game plan? How are you gonna really because it seems to me like there's an opportunity really to create value through a spin out of some sort. No?
Yeah, you're bang on, Jack. We're absolutely considering that now. I can say that the valuation that we believe is backed up by the industry right now is that Cybeats alone is likely worth much more than our company is valued today, and that's an asset independent of what we're doing. Our legacy assets that have always given us a 50-60 million valuation, at least over the last couple of years. So we're going to look to increase shareholder value. We're well capitalized, so we don't need to go out and raise more money or dilute right now. So the real contemplation is we have two businesses that are now commercial, both going quite successfully, and we're going to look to on how to accelerate their paths and their market impact, which will likely involve putting together some capital external to Relay, and very much considering listing those companies on their own and dividending shares out to our shareholders and producing additional value that way. There'll be more, I think there'll be more formal kind of guidance on that in the near term. But I can say if we're getting the multipliers that we feel that we are now on Cybeats as a private entity within Relay, that it's very likely, in the near future here that we will be looking at properly capitalizing that company to make a major entrance into the market on its own. But for now, there's a lot of work to be done. We're executing. The results are there, the validation's there, and we're going to prove up as much value as we can in the short term to make that transaction a very, very advantageous one for shareholders.
Clark, so what's what are the kind of news flow can investors expect to see from Relay in the short term? Because it was a while since we heard from you, so you must have a lot of things backed up in the pipeline. What can we expect to see in the next 60 days? I know the summer is a little slow, but what can we expect to see going into September here?
Big time. So as I say, we just went.
That's the question. When can we see some action here?
Where can we see some action? I'm with you. So look, we just as I say, we just announced our first commercial client for Cybeats. We're starting to market now. We're starting to actively go out and tell the story. We just acquired the company in March, so it takes a few months to do the integration and build the team out, which is what we're doing. We'll be announcing some key executive strategic moves. We'll continue to report on some of these contracts and commercial engagements, which I think I expect. I mean, we've started with a bang. I know Starfish is maybe not a household name, but it's as good a name in Canada as we could ask for the business that we're in. It's a major validator. And we're going to look to build on that in the near term. We're going to announce more further functionality so the market understands what we have. We're doing some media. We've got other engagements, obviously, on the COVID business. We'll say biosecurity business of testing is not going away, and so there'll be lots to report on the way.
It's going to be here. It's really going to be here forever. Now we get the vaccines now. So this is going to be something. This is a long runway to revenues here.
It's a big issue. It's not going to go away. We're very pleased with how things are progressing there, and we'll make more further announcements shortly on some very interesting deployments and partnerships that we have both in Canada and on the international stage. And of course, as I mentioned, we are firing things up with the pharma track, and we have some very interesting business relationships. The medication adherence issue is it's a big one, and there's a lot of money, there's a lot of value to be created there in solving the problem that plagues so many Americans, so many Canadians in trying to manage their medication, trying to manage their parents and the people that they have to care for. And web medicine, as we've seen with COVID, has also got a premium in the market because we need to learn how to solve these problems without relying on people making their trips into their doctor's office or into the hospital every time they need to check on their medication. And we play a big role in that. So there's going to be no lack of news. We have been quiet for a couple months here in doing this integration, and now we're pretty excited for what the end of the year will bring. And we work as hard in the summer as we do in the spring and fall. So you're going to see, I think you're going to see some key developments here that will have us talking on a regular basis.
Fantastic. Okay, guys, great to get the update, and we look forward to hearing more from Relay Medical, the coming weeks.
Yep.
Thank you, Jack. It's great to be here again, and We wish you a good day.
Possibly
Yes.
a spin-off. Oh, yo, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to thank you. It was a